Welcome to this 10-minute tutorial, and today I'm going to show you how to paint your skirting boards for a fantastic finish every time. I'll be walking you through the different paint types to use, which ones to avoid, ways to protect your flooring to save you a lot of cleanup, and some handy hacks to save you some valuable DIY time. Now, I've been renovating my home for over 4 years and I've done a lot of painting, let me tell you. So now it is time to share all my learnings so you don't make any of my mistakes. So let's get into it. Now, firstly, you want to make sure your skirting boards are clean. Give them a good wipe down with some clean water. I'm working with new pre-primed skirting boards here, but if you're not, then make sure you've prepared them for painting. You might need to sand them back if they feel rough, or remove old paint if it looks cakey, but often you can just paint on top of what's there. Paint wise, the most recommended finish to choose for woodwork is eggshell. So this has a very slight sheen and is very durable, so it's ideal for skirting boards as they often get scuffed or bumped by furniture or people passing by. And the eggshell paint I'm using here is Potter's Pink by Dulux Heritage. My skirting boards are 22 centimetres high, so a lot taller than usual, and I found the easiest way to apply most of the paint was with a small 4-inch emulsion roller, just painting in the same direction, backwards and forwards, to lay that paint down in a smooth, even layer. This was while we're in the midst of renovating our loft room, so no flooring to protect, which does make painting your skirting boards easier, as I could roller the paint right down to the bottom edge without worrying about ruining the floor. But sit tight, because I've got some very easy hacks to show you later in this video to keep your flooring paint free. As you can see, we colour drenched this room, painting the walls and woodwork all the same colour, which is a decorating technique I absolutely love. It makes your whole space feel a bit grander, and of course it saves you that trouble of cutting in, but I am now going to grab a small 1-inch brush to get into all the detail and keep the eggshell paint finish and matte wall paint finish separate. This is also the same way you can cut in and get a clean sharp line if your wall and woodwork colours are different. Now, if you have detail and curves in your skirting board profile like I do, this style is called OG2 and it's from Skirting World, then this type of small angled brush is perfect for pushing that paint into every nook, cranny and corner. It also allows you to run that paint along the top edge of your skirting board without getting it all over the wall. Traditionally, oil-based gloss paint was used for skirting boards, which were not as easy to apply and required specialist cleaners to clean up your brushes. But the beauty of modern eggshell paint is that it is mostly water-based, so it's really easy to get a smooth, even finish, and the brush and roller cleanup only requires soapy water. When buying your paint, do read the label on the tin to check it's water-based. Top tip, if the cleanup instructions only require water, not white spirit or any other chemical cleaners, then you know it's water-based. But you don't have to go for an eggshell finish, and I'll be showing you a few more paint options in a moment to show you what you can and can't use on your woodwork when it comes to painting. And of course, you'll hear a lot of people say that skirting boards should always be white, but that's not something I believe in. I think you should choose whichever colour you like. With modern day paints being much more versatile than their older counterparts, you're not just limited to white gloss anymore. So go light, go dark, go bright, whatever takes your fancy. All you need to do is make sure that the paint you choose is suitable for use on wood and is durable. Now here I'm tackling some sharp corners, rolling right up to the corner as close as I can get before grabbing that small brush again to get the paint right in there, reach into that corner and get a lovely smooth finish. The beauty of this technique is that you only need one roller type, one brush type, a paint tray and your paint. No fancy tools, nothing expensive. This is very DIY friendly and easy to get right, whether you're an experienced painter or new to the world of decorating. It does take time and you'll need to focus in on the detail as you go here. Look out for any drips of your paint, because if they dry, you'll be left with chunky drip marks on your woodwork. We don't want that, so it always helps to run your roller over any hand painted areas just to smooth everything out. The key here is not to lay your paint on thick, especially in those curves and details, because that's how you end up with drips running down your skirting or chunky brush marks that are visible when it's all dry. Thinner, smoother layers that you can build up are better than thick layers that might cause you problems with the finish later. As you can see, I'm really taking my time to go over the more detailed areas, just constantly smoothing it back and forth without adding more paint, so I'm sure to avoid any drips or gathering of paint that's not going to give me that smart, smooth, perfect finish that I'm after. You'll likely need to apply at least 2 coats of paint. I did just 2 in this room and the coverage was excellent. And the beauty of eggshell paint is that you can use it on all your woodwork in your room, including architrave, doors, wooden window frames, whatever you want to paint. This adds to that smart colour drenched look and saves you time and money on buying different paints and cleaning up and switching up your brushes and rollers. Now I've shown you the technique in a room with no flooring to protect, so let's move on to a more finished room with final flooring. In our home office we went for white on the walls and the woodwork, woodwork, but we had just had laminate flooring fitted, which we did not want to ruin. So I grabbed myself some painter's tape and applied that to the floor right up to the edge of the skirting board before painting to protect our nice new flooring. This is a great technique for wood flooring, tiles, or any flooring that is smooth to enable you to paint right down to the bottom without transferring paint onto your floor. But the downside of this technique is the time it takes to apply the tape to the floor accurately around a whole room. It is not quick, but it is necessary to keep your floor paint free. And we actually use the same paint for the walls and the woodwork in here, which I'll get into in a moment. So no cutting in, easy peasy, just going in with a larger brush all over the woodwork here. And if you do fancy yourself as a bit more of a painting pro, you can skip the lengthy tape technique and just cut in as close to the floor as you can with your brush. I sometimes manage that successfully, sometimes it's a total mess, so keep a damp cloth close to hand to clean up any mishaps if you need to before it all dries. An angled paintbrush is usually better for this, as you can hold the brush straight but still get that gradual angled application rather than having to try and create that angle to ensure a smooth spread of paint. And you don't want the brush to be overloaded here, because that's when you end up pushing excess paint onto your flooring, whereas a thinner, smoother application is going to allow you more control over where your paint goes. If you do decide to go down the painter's tape route, then peel that off while your paint is still wet, and you should get a lovely crisp divide between your skirting and flooring. You should remove this while it's wet, just in case any paint has transferred onto your floor. That is going to be easier to remove while it's wet rather than wait until after it's dried. As you can see, I got that lovely crisp finish here, very satisfying, nothing on the floor, success all round. But now let me chat to you a bit about different paint types you could use for your skirting boards that you might not think were suitable. Now, many modern day paint brands such as Lick list their paints as multi-purpose, so suitable for use on walls, woodwork, radiators, everything. So if you're not keen on eggshell and want a more matte finish, then read up on the paint and you might just find it works on wood too. Similarly, I've also used Valspar paint on my woodwork, which is actually designed for walls and ceilings, but it is durable and scrubbable, so I did try it on my woodwork too. We had this mixed in this gorgeous pinky peachy colour called Bare Necessity to try it out for colour drenching our whole lounge. It is stain resistant, scrubbable and durable, so after adding our skirting boards, it was time to paint. Now, I've shown you the taping the floor method, but if you don't want to spend all that time taping a perfect line, a great hack is to place a piece of paper under the edge of your skirting to protect your floor and move that along as you paint. This is obviously a lot quicker, easier and cheaper, as you don't need to buy tape, and honestly I found this to be just as effective. Again, I think if we'd left these skirting boards white, they'd stand out in the wrong way. I love the grand feel of tall skirting boards that blend with the wall colour, especially in a Victorian home with tall ceilings like ours, and we use this same paint on our walls, even on the old door into the room and all over the fireplace to create a characterful but light and airy space that feels calming but still traditional in places. I would avoid using any paint that isn't scrubbable, durable or multi-purpose, because you might find it scuffs or scratches off easily, meaning you'd have to repaint patches frequently, and you don't want that extra work, so just make sure you pick the most suitable paint up front. You can add a top coat to protect the paint in areas that might get a lot of wear, like on top of a fireplace or a door, but honestly this is again just extra work, so picking that paint wisely up front is going to save you more time and more money. And when you see the brilliant finish you can get on skirting boards with the right type of paint, it really shows. We've managed to add colour and character back to our Victorian home with this easy DIY approach that anyone can do. We've said goodbye to traditional, sticky white gloss, opted for smart, suitable finishes that are long lasting, hard wearing and with excellent colour payoff. As I said, it's not expensive to achieve that perfect finish. It just requires a few entry-level painting tools and plenty of care and attention to assure you get that smooth, smart look. So don't be afraid of embracing colour and different paint types when it comes to painting your own skirting boards, whether they are brand new or a bit older. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this video helps you with your own DIY woodwork decoration projects, and if you'd like more beginner-friendly DIY tutorials, do subscribe to my channel because I've got so much first-time renovation wisdom to share. Thanks for watching.